welcome to a review of some one-off figures from Pogo. I'll be putting a number in the title description here so you know what numbers these are. These figures were not released particularly in any sets, so you're gonna have to get these one by one if you want them. And we have Doctor Strange, Sentry, Moonknight, Baron Zemo, and Gambit. You can see here, Gambit is one of the older ones. It does not come with any sort of stands. The other has stands for some reason. Moonknight has a stand that is a 4x4 of the studs on the back, which is a little bit similar to XNH, but XNH has the row of studs, one stud ahead, like it's slightly in front, one line in front of the one you see here. So these are the slightly newer figures, and all of them, including the two older ones, they didn't have any clutch issues, and none of the joints were too tight or too loose, so that's great. Pogo has improved a lot. If you see my other videos, I've already mentioned that older Pogo stuff have really big issues, especially with the left arm not moving too well, and sometimes the hands being a little bit too tight in the arm socket, so there's issues there. Fortunately enough, none of these figures have it. Even Gambit and Baron Zemo, which are the older figures, Gambit being particularly old release from Pogo, seems to be okay, so I think I lucked out there. But if you do get a Gambit figure, I will say that do be careful and be aware that you might get a figure with really bad clutch. So this video is a bunch of Marvel figures. I'll be doing one for DC and Star Wars soon. Anyway, yeah, the details here are pretty good. Of course, Doctor Strange has now been done by official Lego, and I do have to say that this figure was teased that it was going to get done before Lego did theirs. So comparing it isn't really too fair in this instance. But when the Lego one came out, the Lego one is a lot better than the just a lot more detailed, a lot more metallic coloring and such. But this figure, they obviously didn't have the official one to compare it to. So when they were designing this figure, they were still basing it off, photos we've seen of the movie and costume. So there are a lot of similarities with the official one, just that the official one is a lot more detailed. So this one, yeah, it isn't as detailed, but it still fits with the comic book version quite a lot. So if you do what you see here, it's a little bit more simplified, and it still looks pretty nice. Sentry figure looks okay. Details are pretty good. I don't know Sentry the character, so it's all I can say is the figure looks pretty decent. The face is also done pretty well as well. The scale of the face is pretty good. Moonknight looks really good, and then again, it's not hard for it to look good because it's just white plastic with black paint for the most part. The mask as well looks pretty decent, so that's cool. Here's a look at the figures with all of their capes and stuff removed, and the more I look at it, the more I like Sentry's head. It just really does look like an official Lego piece. So Moonknight here, I'm going to move him to the side, and just a quick look at Doctor Strange's side. You can see a little bit of side printing there. You see the arm print, got the muscular print design there. Which for the most part Moonknight is a little bit plain, so I know why they put that there, just to make him look a little bit more detailed and not as boring. And just to compare the capes, Moonknight has a really thick cape, and it's not nice, and this is common with a lot of older Pogo stuff, whereas Doctor Strange and Sentry have the really thin and shiny cape, which feels like it's going to break really easily, but it's actually quite tough. It feels like packaging cloth, but it's definitely tougher than that. Here's a good look at the back. Moonknight has no design on the back, which is fine. In fact, both these figures could have had no back printing. I would have been fine. But what I'm not fine with is there's no back face printing, which is a bit of a shame. And so the print on them are pretty decent. However, Doctor Strange feels a little bit strange because they've printed light blue on his torso, but they're still using a dark navy blue plastic for the torso. Guessing that's to match the colors of the arms, like they just didn't want to spend more money by casting a lighter blue color plastic. So I mean, overall it still looks okay, but it just looks a little bit weird on the side, on an angle, so that's a bit iffy. Now here's a fan favorite, Gambit, and I like that the jacket he comes with, and the jacket itself is the same-ish thick material with the old Pogo stuff, which is fine here when it's used as a jacket. Now that I can get behind with thicker material here, definitely works pretty well. It doesn't really work with capes because it's too thick and it gets between the neck joint and the head, making the head a little bit loose sometimes, and especially with something like Mysterio, his helmet would not fit properly, and it will always fall off when the cape's in the way. So not good there. But when used as a jacket, like here, it gives it more durability, makes it tougher, makes it thicker, gives it some texture, and it does look good. And plus, the thicker material is not actually sitting between any joints, doesn't really get in the way. Now it does get in a little bit when you want to move Gambit's hands down, so it's rubbing between the arm and the lower torso. But you can see here, his arm is actually down at the moment, and it doesn't really affect it too much. Zemo here, they've done a pretty good job in printing purple on a yellow plastic arm, so that's pretty good. There's no, you can see there's no gaps anywhere, so that's pretty good. We previously had a Zemo, which was done by Xing Yuan, I remember correctly, and you can see that there's no competition here. This version is much better. This one's a very simplified version. That doesn't say this is not rubbish by any means, but this one is just done so much more detail. So I guess this is like cartoony version. This is like more realistic live action version, even though there isn't a live action version that looks like this, but just for comparison. Here are the figures with all of their stuff removed. Just want you to have a clearer look at Gambit. You can see that they did bother with this figure at least to have different color arms just to match the jacket. And it is at the back with no details whatsoever, and that's totally fine because the jacket's going to hide most of the stuff anyway. And you see here again, the Pogo one is printed pretty well around the arms to get that illusion of a double colored arm, whereas the Xing Yuan one doesn't do that. Both of them have side printings on the leg. I'm just going to quickly show the Xing Yuan one has a little collar there around the arm. This one doesn't, but that's totally fine because they have all these details already, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, and his sword also has a yellow hilt painted. Gambit has his staff and this. I don't know if that's just extra plastic, but he can hold it. It almost looks like a pen, or yeah, he decided to pick something up from the toilet. So there you go. So overall, all of these figures are pretty good. Gambit's pretty nice. Now the printing is a little bit not as good as more modern Pogo stuff. You can see the colors are a bit faded because of the black plastic, because they didn't underline it with a lighter color like white, for example. And the same goes with Baron Zemo, but overall they're still printed decent enough. Doctor Strange, Moonknight and Sentry there look pretty good for what they are, so I definitely recommend those. Zemo still has the problem of the leg printing, where the print on the top of the shoes are still purple, so you're going to have to colour in that yourself. Doctor Strange, there was a more cartoony or more comic booky version by Xing Yuan, if I remember correctly, but I haven't kept that figure, so I don't have it with me anymore, because I'm quite happy with just getting the official Doctor Strange figure. This is also a figure that I'm not going to keep, because the official movie Doctor Strange looks close enough to his comic book counterpart anyway. I don't need two slightly samey versions of Doctor Strange. If the bootlegs were, for example, to release a Doctor Strange that was very different from the official one, then I'd be more than happy to keep that one as an alternative. But this one's not different enough. As for the rest of the characters, I will be keeping all 4 of them because Lego has not done any of them, and this Zemo is different enough from the Xing Yuan one that I think I'm keeping both. So yeah, I like these figures a lot. I recommend them, so check them out. As always, if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, please consider clicking the like button, subscribe button, or leaving a comment below on how you feel about these bootleg figures and how they compare, or at least how one of them compares to the official one. As always, you can check out my other bootleg/official Lego set reviews. If you hate bootlegs, you can watch those instead. And hopefully with adblock turned off, and you support me on Patreon if you think this channel deserves to grow and do more stuff. As always, take care, have a nice day, and see you guys soon.